And even with working with artists, like I always tell people, like as a producer, in a way, you're kind of like a therapist because you know artists will come in and to the studio, and you never know how they're feeling because they're experiencing life. So that's why it's like as a producer, I don't like to just sit and I'm gonna make 100 beats today and send out 100 beat packs because it's like okay, like if I need to send a beat to Kendrick Lamar and he's in a terrible mood, something crazy happened, and I'm over here sending him hyper pop beats, like like it doesn't make sense. So uh I kind of like to get in and know the artist because it's like, hey, like, yeah, how you doing today? Like, oh man, like I just broke up with my girl or something. It's like, okay, like now we know and we can have a conversation. We might talk the whole session, or we might talk, and then while they're talking, I might pull up a beat or a melody or play something that might resonate with them. And sometimes that's how you get some of the best records. So it's like, okay, now you can really just pour your heart out because we made the beat and you can get your message across. Um, so I feel like we need more of that.
Hey, what's up, guys? Today, well, this is like the second or third episode now. Um, Welcome, I guess. Today I'm here with an artist named Madness, and he has been working with like many artists. And yeah, you want to say hello first?
Hello, hello, people.
What's up? Yeah, with many artists as well as with Puma. He is part of the Since the 80s label. He's 25 years old and based in Atlanta. What's up?
Hello. How's it going? I would say good morning or afternoon, but for you, it's evening. But
But yeah, we kind of, well, I kind of had technical issues, so the whole thing
yeah,
led. I think I departed 2.5 hours, I think. So thanks
yeah.
again.
It's okay. I got time to play a few Fortnite games and
Yeah, what? How did you get into the dream you're trying to achieve? I guess right now, like, what was your drive? Like, was it something you've
um,
always since a kid?
yeah, I mean, growing up, uh I kind of came up in like a musical household. My mom would always play different music, like I don't know. It varied from so many different things, from like Michael Jackson to Prince to Whitney Houston to Fleetwood Mac, um, Elton John. So like we kind of always just came up listening to different things. Me and my sister, and I grew up just kind of listening to everything. Like I was mainly into rock music. Uh, Growing up, kind of different. I liked a lot of like Linkin Park and
Oh,
Paramore and stuff. And I mean, that's kind of still stuff that I listen to heavy. And then I got into playing guitar and drums probably about hmm, oh 05 maybe 2005 2006 ish. Then I stopped and kind of just went to doing other activities. But it was crazy because I always kind of grew up having like song ideas in my head, which is kind of weird, but I never like equated that to being like, yeah, like I should make music, but I would have whole just dubstep songs, whole, instrumentals, pop songs, hip hop songs, all just while I was like in the shower, and I'd be like, wow, that'd be a cool song. But um I never thought like, hey, I should make music. And then it was about 2014. um Daft Punk, they put out their Random Access Memories album, and I actually have it on my wall. But I saw them play at the Grammys in 2014, and literally that same night I was like, oh, like I want to make music. And so I told my mom, and then I downloaded some demo of FL Studio uh, from their website, and then tried to figure out how to make beats. But I wanted to make EDM, So I started off doing French disco house as the first genre that I made. And then from there, I was just making EDM records for a number of years and then figuring out how to, get into the industry and how to network with people. And I thought I was going to be like some DJ or something. And uh, being from Atlanta, that's kind of like, it's kind of tough because it's so hip hop dominated. And then I went to college and started connecting with more people there. And I started doing more like trap music and hip hop and stuff like that. And yeah, like I just kind of just started meeting other people that did hip hop and trap music, and then eventually kind of circled back into me doing pop and EDM. And now, I mean, that's pretty much what I spend most of my time making is pop records. Um, so yeah.
Yeah, that's dope. That's dope. I think like by the way, don't mind if I like look in this direction. I'm just like writing stuff down that I want to get on
It's
because
all
I
good.
probably will forget like while we're
Yeah,
so
all good.
yeah. Did you like uh when you like decided to do music and everything? Did you like ever think about like what other people would think, or did your like family support all that? Because I feel like that's something that many artists struggle with. That they like I was definitely like that. Like my friends had to basically push me in the direction of like being openly about it. You know, like
Um, it wasn't too far fetched for me to do that. Uh, I think my mom kind of just wanted me to be a little more realistic because I was just like, like I just want to be a EDM DJ and I want to tour the world and I want to do this, that, and that. And then the next day I'd be like, nah, I actually kind of want to do this and I want to, I want to have music in movies. And then the next would be, okay, I want to start doing hip hop beats. So like growing up, I kind of didn't really know what lane I wanted to go in music. Um, so I think it was mainly just first showing them that I could make it an actual career, like setting up an LLC, going to studio sessions, working with artists, having records actually out, actually getting, paid for music that you make and not just making it a hobby, I guess you can say. So once people started to see that, they were like, okay, like, wow, no, you like, you could actually see you doing this for a living. So yeah, it wasn't too hard to convince them. I think growing up, I tried a lot of different things. Cause I just was curious about doing a lot of stuff. I did martial arts for a number of years. I did basketball. I did skateboarding. Like I just I did whatever. I did tennis. Like I just tried so many different things until something stuck with me and music was that thing. So yeah.
yeah, I think that is like something like that is so cool that you're like saying this because like I was the same. Like I would try so many different things and was obsessed with it for like a short amount of time, you know? And I was like, oh wow, this is going to be exactly my thing. And it was also the same like with my art in like a special direction. Like I was like, okay, I wanna like draw hyperrealism. And then the next day I was like, oh no, I wanna do this. And then I could only basically see that.
Yeah.
And yeah, when I was a kid, I also like changed hobbies basically every time, but like art was also something that stuck with me. But I think
Yeah.
it's also like now, not nowadays, but I feel it's really hard sometimes to like as artists, we are still allowed to like do many different things, you know, but we sometimes have the feeling, I feel like, that we have to decide on a certain lane to do things. Like that's
Mm.
why I'm also like trying right now, for example, with the podcast. I had that idea for so long, but everybody always saw me as like the artist who's like doing hyperrealism or is like painting or is like drawing on shoes or something. And I don't know, I think sometimes it's hard for artists to like be okay with like doing more than one thing. we're not all, like to not put ourselves in a box and go after that.
Mm-hmm. No, absolutely. And I mean, that's kind of how I uh carried myself with music also. Like, being in Atlanta and also being, a black guy, like people always just think like, oh, like they're probably gonna make trap music or hip hop beats, and that's cool. I mean, that's just not how I came up. Like I didn't just come up listening to just hip hop or trap. Like I listened to so many different genres, and I never try to put myself, like you said, like putting yourself in a box. I never tried to do that. Like I like to make. I want to go to a studio and be able to play EDM stuff or pop stuff or country or Latin or like reggaeton and Afro beats and all that stuff. Like I enjoy making all that, and just learning from other people, like about their cultures and what inspires their rhythms and um, melodic patterns and stuff like that. So like we made K-pop, we made all sorts of stuff. So it's just I don't know. I don't know why people want to just limit themselves to one thing. It's like there's a whole world out there. Like you can make so many different genres and different art styles and I don't know. It's kind of boring limiting yourself. You can do so
Yeah,
much.
definitely. But I think honestly, the people that are putting themselves in a box, it's not because they don't like that they want that, but they're kind of scared of what their peers or their friends, their closest friends would think. Like, for example, when
Yeah.
you said earlier, like you were kind of like also listening to Linkin Park and just like rock, like I was the same. I was like brought up on like Metallica or Pink Floyd or Linkin Park. Like, I was that like
Yeah.
11-year-old kid on a festival where everybody was like, this is not okay. Tomorrow it's 11 p.m. and it's a school night.
Yeah.
I
I
actually
mean,
saw Linkin Park live, and that's like my biggest flex. But now
that's
a lot of
hard.
like it was crazy. It was crazy. Like
That's hard.
actually, the year Chester passed, I think it was actually that year. But his end
Mm,
was crazy. Like I could not put it into words. Um,
it was
like
amazing.
it was crazy. But I always felt like I defined myself with that, and in school, like I was like friends with the people who are also like listening to rock or metal or whatever.
Yeah.
And as when I remember the first time I heard a rap song, and I really enjoyed it. I like it. I actually think it was Kidding. I like something from Kidding. I don't even remember exactly what it was, but
Oh yeah. He's dope. He's
but
dope.
I remember I felt bad because like I was like, oh no, I'm not supposed to like this because I was like, oh my gosh, if my parents know that I like rap, like they're people are gonna think things, and I'm not going to be a part of like my group anymore. So I think lots
Yeah.
of people they don't put themselves in a box because of like because they want to, but they're just scared of what like the
Mhm.
other people would say if like people find out. So I think it's actually like so cool that you had like the self confidence of being like, no, I don't want that. You know what I mean? That you were aware of it, basically, like no, I don't want to just like use one box. Like I'm all over. Like I think that's really cool. Like when I went through a page, it was also like I was like every time like I felt like you can really like feel that in your music, because you always still have like that like you have a lot of energy in your music. I feel like it just takes you somewhere like 100%. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's not like okay, this is a little bit of that, a little bit of that, but you're not shy in this stuff like you're producing. It's more like I'm going for it all in. Like I don't care what other people think. If it's like you just like, for example, just like EDM, like it's totally going in there, and you like trust your own perception with it. Like you don't
Yeah.
really care. But yeah, the only constant is like that it's a lot of energy. That's what I felt like. But I was every time I was kind of like surprised when I went through the music. I was like, okay, okay, cool. That's taking a different turn.
Yeah. And I mean, I don't know. I kind of grew up like, I mean, I was homeschooled growing up, so I had a lot of time to just sit and work on music also. Because I would just finish my schoolwork super fast. So I just, when I knew like I wanted to do music, um that very first time I opened it, I was like, yeah, this is kind of what I want to do, like forever. So I'm just gonna spend as much time so I can get really freaking good at it, you know? And yeah, I mean that's I don't know. I was always just kind of rebellious with it. Like I never wanted to just make the usual stuff people were making and I don't know, not follow rules. Like I feel like that's how some of the best music is made when the people who are just like, you know what, I'm just gonna make what inspires me. And there's something out there for everybody. So you might make the most left field beat ever, but somebody out there is gonna be like, wow, you know what, this is pretty cool. Like so yeah, I try not to make stuff that I want to like uh push on people. I think I'd rather just make it to where it's like it'll attract to where it's like, okay, yo, this is something that I could vibe with. Just being a trendsetter. I don't know, like I feel like that's the main thing because there's so many people um that make music and I mean I feel like that's what art in general. Like there's so many people now that do it. Um it's kind of like you have to set yourself apart. So like that's kind of how I look at it with artists that I like to work with or I find whether it's online or whatever. It's just like, are you doing something that nobody else is doing?
Yeah.
Whether that's making beats, whether that's singing, whatever. Like I don't know. I just don't like to hear the same stuff.
Yeah,
Like,
like I feel like lots of people or like artists are trying to not trying to fit in as like
yeah,
they hear a song and they're like, oh wow, I want to make music like that. And then they
yeah,
don't trust like their own perception of what actually makes like what they actually think would be good. They're trying to like long after a certain whatever, but that person just did it because like out of their feelings, out of how they felt
yeah,
in the moment. And they didn't want to sound like anybody. They just wanted to like create their own truth basically in a musical form or just in an art form.
yeah,
And yeah, I feel like lots of artists these days. I think this is also something that comes a little maybe with social media. I'm not sure, but just because like all these like trend setting sounds in my I mean like they're songs written for like going viral and stuff, you know? Like it's not anymore for like the true form of art behind it, like the true emotion. It's about like okay, what can actually like get you that like addictive like sound like a TikTok or whatever sound in your head. So that's actually also what I'm like always try to like look for. I mean, when I don't know when I draw somebody or something, you know, like what are they actually trying to say? Like what is their actual message basically?
mm,
What are they trying to bring out? Are they like or what's their purpose for creating basically, you know?
yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, I like TikTok. I found quite a few really dope artists on there. Um, I don't know. It's just some people are so busy trying to capture like a moment versus like, hey, like, how about we actually have a career that spans for, 30, 40 years from now? And a lot of people like there's very few artists now that I feel like could do that because I think everybody's so like, oh, we have to have a hit and less on like, hey, I actually want to put together a dope body of work to where people years from now can still appreciate. Like there's still artists that, you know, came on the scene 20 years ago that I still listen to and are still making dope stuff. They may not be as relevant now in today's terms, but they're still, putting out amazing records. So yeah, yeah, it's interesting
Yeah,
stuff.
lots of people are like going for the like 5 minute hype basically, and like think that's gonna like get them far because then people know their name. But it's kind of sad actually. Like lots of times you like know a song, but you have no idea who's it from. You just know it from like an app or something. And
Yeah,
like example, like what Kendrick did with his album, like everything in it is like basically art, you know, like from how he talks about his life for over like the actual like yeah everything about it. He took 5 years of it, and
Yeah.
like he plays with so many things in it, and like this kind of patience to like actually put your life into it, like
Mhm.
actual life lessons into your art, and like you said, not just like going for a moment. um it is pretty rare, which is kind of sad, but I think also like music, the way like music was always evolving, it was
Mhm.
never the same that it was like yesterday, but now like the dopamine levels and the patience levels, because of our attention span is getting like so much shorter, because of like, for example, like reels or TikToks, it's like so
Mhm.
short, you cannot like, you know so I'm really interested to like see how the music industry is gonna change with it. Like I talked to a friend and we were also talking about how we're basically having to like, we're making the rules basically, like the algorithm for example is making the rules, but it's still our
Mhm.
choice if we want to
Yeah.
like play with it, and like the
Yeah.
apps stuff, they want us on there, but if we don't play the game, like they have to adapt.
Mhm. Right. Right. Yeah. It's a weird time.
You're right.
It's an interesting time, and I think um with so much new technology coming out, we're kind of I think we're at like a crossroads with it because, you know, now you have AI and people making fake records with the artists. So it's a weird time, and streaming is such a big thing. A lot of people don't really get paid as much from streaming. Um, so it's a weird time period right now, for music, I would say. But yeah, I just feel like if people just stand out and just kind of make stuff that speaks to them versus like I'm trying to make a TikTok record because like I do not like going to the studio and people are like, oh, like if only I could sound just like Billie Eilish, and it's like, I mean, why? Like, because we already
Yeah,
have a Billie
why
Eilish,
would you
so
do that? You are not Billie Eilish. Why would you like?
yeah, and she came out just kind of doing her own thing, and yeah, a lot of people weren't really doing that whole dark pop sound, and there probably were people. I mean, I've heard a few people that were before I heard Billie Eilish, but I think she just kind of had the total package and perfected it. And now everybody is just like, "Ah, I need a Billie Eilish record." And it's just like, okay, I mean, it's just the
Yeah,
weekend, Dua Lipa, same thing with those people. Um, so yeah,
yeah, I think it's crazy because like people like when they say, "Oh yeah, I need a Billie Eilish record," like you said, she just did her own thing. Like she just basically trusted her own perception of what she thinks is good,
yeah,
and was like, "Hey, I think this is amazing, and I would just want to put it out because I love doing it."
yeah,
And I think this comes a lot with like just insecurities of people because they just don't realize that I always like have this, not always, but I sometimes say to like friends or anything, like you are as much as Gandhi, as Tupac, as anybody else, because these people basically just trusted their own perception with the way they saw the world,
yeah,
and they like listen to their intuition about, oh, I think this sounds good, like,
yeah.
and they didn't like let anybody basically like gaslight them or anything, they just went for it because they're like, oh no, I like this, so I like this, and I stand to my own opinion.
Yeah,
So yeah, I think
we're
like when you say stuff like that, it's like they're just, yeah, they just don't, are not self-secure enough.
yeah, I mean, we all have influences, I mean, like I know the people that influence me. Like, I love, uh, like I mean, producer wise, like Daft Punk, Pharrell, Tyler, Skrillex, like those are some Quincy Jones. Like those are some of my main influences, and like I listen to things that they do, and it's like, wow, that's interesting. That would be kind of dope to implement into my own um world of stuff. But I don't know. It's like you're not trying to just imitate. Like do your own thing. Like
Yeah.
what's your sound? Like you can. take the influence of those people. Like The Weeknd, you could obviously tell it's influenced by Michael Jackson and Prince and all those type of people. Um, you know, Michael Jackson was influenced by James Brown and Sammy Davis Jr., you know? So, and they, I'm sure, had their own influences. So people always just look to like, oh, wow, like this is somebody who I respect highly and I love their music and I want to reach some of those same levels that they reached, but I'm not trying to be that person. I'm not trying to straight up copy their formula. I'm just trying to, um,
You're,
implement ways and how they utilize certain sounds and make something new out of it. Like
yeah, like
obviously Tyler
you
and Pharrell did the same
said,
thing.
sorry.
Huh?
You said,
Oh,
oh,
go
like
ahead.
adapting it to your own, basically. Like these are
Yeah,
influences, but you want to make your own out of it.
yeah. Like Tyler and Pharrell are so
Great.
interlinked, right? Like, and Tyler even spoke about it, but it's like you can hear the influence of Pharrell in Odd Future and early Tyler stuff, and still today. But still, like you can still hear a Tyler the Creator sound versus a Pharrell sound, you know. So, um, nah, it's all cool though. It's all cool. How Let me ask you a question. What made you want to get into? What made you want to get into doing art?
Or as a, pro- yeah, I'm never on this side. Like,
Yeah.
so basically, I was always the really just creative person. I think like I actually remember when I was in kindergarten, I drew this picture because I just loved creating in general. Like that was something I was always a really visual person. For me, like pictures, like just made sense. I don't know how to explain it. Like I could kind of feel like also like till today, I see lots of times like the art that I want to do. I see it already in front of me. Basically, it's like a Tetris game
Mhm.
a little,
Yeah.
and I remember I was in kindergarten and drawing this picture, and my teacher came up to me and she was like, "Oh wow, this actually that looks really great." And I was like, "Well, I always had this like, oh, I want to be best if I can do something. I want to be best at it."
Mm.
And this might come from like I don't know. I got like bullied a lot in like kindergarten and school and stuff, and I always felt like this was like my outlet, like this was what I was good at. But I
Mhm.
also loved doing it because I could create kind of my own world, if you know what I mean.
Mhm.
Like I could like just zoom out everything and just like create on it. And I would like you said earlier something about ADD. Same. Like I would just like get into it and like look up and it was like 5 o'clock in the morning. It was like, okay, oops, like how did that happen? And
Right.
then later, like in school I would always like just draw on my like assignment papers all the time and I like just created these like endless pictures basically. And I
Mhm.
was like also said always into music like so much, and I always felt like these were like kind of the true artists like to me because they could just like zoom you into a world. Like I always felt a little like what I was doing was okay, you know, but I didn't feel like it was much of a skill.
Mhm.
And what like music gave to me, I was always like, I kind of want to like give something back to those people, like that are creating this like safe world for me.
Mhm.
And yeah, then I kind of just like, uh, I started drawing artists and
Mhm.
back then over Instagram, like you could basically reach anyone because
Yeah.
it was not a thing, you know. And yeah, like artists started to hit me up and everything, and I just like gifted the drawings to them. And then I realized like this whole world of like artists is just what I definitely want to like be a part of. Like that's where I want to
Mhm.
not make my money in the way of like but I want to like work there. If I have to work somewhere, I want to definitely work there because I
Mhm.
feel like it was the way to like inspire others, or the best way to inspire others to like yeah basically speak their truth and like go for the dreams.
Yeah.
Answers the
Yeah.
question.
Yeah. And I mean, I feel the main thing with art and how a lot of us stumble upon it is just kind of like, okay, it's definitely, like you said, an escape.
Yeah.
No, I mean that's kind of how I looked at it when I first started. Because I used to play a lot of video games, like a lot, but I was mainly doing it. I mean, because one, yeah, like it's fun, but also it's just like it puts you into another world. So if you're playing a Mario game, it's like you're not like you tapped into that world, almost like going to a movie, or watching a TV show. Um, so yeah, like making music for me was also kind of like, okay, like I can escape a lot of the stuff that's happening, just kind of lose track of time because you really just get to sit there at your computer or in front of a keyboard or in front of a blank canvas for painting, and it's like, okay, yeah, I can just lose track of time and just do something that I really love. So yeah, I feel like that's like making art in its purest form. And I felt like at one point, like I kind of lost that because I was so focused on like, trying to grow my career and trying to network and do all stuff, which you have to do. I mean, to get somewhere, because I don't want to just be sitting in my room just making beats forever. Like I want to have people actually hear it. But at the same time, it was kind of getting to the point where it was like, oh, like I have to meet so many demands of like making a certain number of beats in a day, going to a certain amount of sessions, going to this event, that event. And it was kind of like, dang, like I'm not really uh doing it out of enjoyment. I'm doing it because I kind of have to. And like I never wanted to do it just as a chore. Like obviously I got to make stuff, but um I just kind of now just recently got back into the point of like really making it to like, oh man, because it's just like I just want to create. Um, so yeah, like art should be fun to make. It shouldn't be a
Yeah.
hassle. Like it shouldn't be like we're gonna lock in the studio for all this time. We're not leaving till we come out with a hit. Like that's why some of these records just kind of fall flat now because so many people are just like, we have to make a hit. We have to make a hit. Like the hit's gonna come if you just continue to just create. Like even with your art, it's not like I'm gonna lock myself in my room and just make the best painting the world has ever seen, and I'm not gonna stop until I do that. Like you can, I guess it might work for somebody, but like I just feel like you're holding yourself to such a crazy standards where it's like, you know, sometimes you might not reach, like you might reach it in your own way, but like I'm not sitting here thinking I have to make Thriller Part 2 to make the biggest album of all time. Like it might happen, it might not, but like my goal is like if I can create music that can inspire somebody, whether that's a young boy or girl growing up who wants to make music, or just somebody who's like, "Oh, this record changed my life when I heard it." Like I love seeing stuff from like I was scrolling through TikTok the other day and just seeing what song was it? You know that song by Zed, the Clarity song? You are the piece of me I wish I didn't. Please tell me you know
I
that
don't know.
song.
I gotta look it up.
Yeah,
I probably know it, but not right now.
that that song came out like 2012, and I love that song when it came out. Um, I just didn't realize how many people love that record when it was out because like I didn't really hear too much about it, but now looking back, everybody's like, "Oh man, like I just remember the way this song made me feel like the first time I heard it." And then people can hear a song and associate memories to it, and like I just think that's so cool. Like wow, like this song came out so long ago, but now people can listen to that song and think back to like, oh, like I remember when, I met this person around the time the song came out, or a family member of mine that has passed on used to love this song and now it reminds me of them, or, just or just a great time period in your life. So it's crazy how art has the power to do that,
Yeah.
even with like movies and TV shows, right? Like I can go back and watch, I don't even know what movie. Like one of my favorite movies is Scott Pilgrim versus the World. So it's like, okay, I could still look at that movie and have such great memories of it. Um, and just instantly just flooded back to nostalgia of like, oh, how this movie made me felt like when it first came out. And it's cool. It's cool how art really has the power to do that. Um,
Yeah, like well, you just said like I agree to everything that you just said, but I feel like music and arts, just arts in general, if it's a film, if it's like a song, whatever, it has like this magic basically where like you
yeah.
don't get to decide on how you're gonna feel about it. You hear something and something in you, whatever it's vibrations, if it's energy, of whatever, it's just
Mhm.
there and it just basically tells you something without you like you don't have a choice about what you're gonna feel about it. And I think
Mhm.
it's so amazing that, for example, like you said, like you make something for yourself, you want to put some feeling or something that you think is just like super cool out in the world, and you do that with like the true, like the pure intention of just like creating for the
Yeah.
love of it. And then somebody else who's I don't know, like the completely opposite of what you're listening to, of like what their hobbies are or anything. They listen to it and have their own perception of like what you just created, and like still have like maybe a totally different nostalgic feeling about it, but like that
Mhm.
power, like that is incredible. And I feel like that is also what artists like. There's magic in that. Like I don't care if it sounds cheesy, like there's so much
Yeah.
magic in that that just like takes you away. And yeah, like to then also what I think is crazy that if you like I remember I would always like listen to a certain song, for example, when I was in school or something at night. I would basically always listen to the same song when I was sitting outside or taking a walk, or like before I went to bed. And now I listen to that song, and like first of all, so much nostalgia comes back to that, and so much emotion about like what I've been going through that time. But also the song now teaches me totally different things than back then. And it teaches me something that the artist never had in mind of te- telling somebody.
That's so true. And yeah, that's actually wild you said that because I just saw like that same song I was just telling you about, like
Oh yeah, I
uh
actually put it. Let me.
somebody. Oh yeah, I'm sure you heard it. The song was
This one? Oh,
yeah,
yes.
yeah,
Oh my god, that was like the biggest hit in like the kid disco back then.
yeah. So like, but now it's like looking back, like I can listen to some of the lyrics and actually, I guess, relate to some things because it's like, wow, like I mean, I was a kid back then and they were adults, but so like some of the messages I just didn't pick up on because I was like, what, middle school or early high school or something back then. So I was like, oh, this song sounds so cool. But now you can relate to songs on a different level as you get older. And yeah, and even with like I guess artists becoming celebrities, like I don't really get attached to like, oh, this person's with this person. Like, I feel like I mainly resonate with artists I like because of, you know, just if I listen to them growing up. Um, like I mean with Chester Bennington, for example, like, when he died, I was like, oh man, like this is crazy because it's like, wow, for somebody who has such a instrumental part in my childhood, and he didn't know me, I didn't know him, but somebody be like, wow, like this guy had an effect on my childhood because I listened to his music and his music got me through some times. And um it was the same with like when Michael Jackson died. Like so many people were like, oh my gosh, like I grew up listening to him, like his music really changed my life. Like art really has the power to take people out of, situations, and it helps people when they're depressed. It makes people happy. Some people found uh loved ones through that. Like it's wild how art really has the power to do that.
Yeah.
I feel like that's the reason I'm really in it. Like, also you have the chance to become rich, which is also a plus. But I mean, it's a plus. You become a millionaire off of it, then hey, like by all means, like you want to make money off of your art. So you not just it's not just forever a hobby, but I think with your intentions of getting into it, I feel like that is going to decide the trajectory. Like I've talked to plenty of producers where they're like, it's just another side hustle for me. And it's like, okay, like that's cool, but I know the reasons I'm in it. Like, um, so that's pretty much all that matters to me.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like there's so many like different sides that people from like the outside or whatever don't see about the business or being an artist. Like, for example, I also just love connecting with people like this right now. You know what I mean? Like we've
Mm,
never met in person. We've never really like even like we don't even know each other that long from like social media or anything. But
mm.
like just the universal connection and understanding about that, like I think that is something like so, yeah, like so amazing. And to I also think that, yeah, like the intuition to go into it, like I've made so many the past years, I've made so many like sacrifices basically, and to like go for my dream. And that's something I think is really interesting. Like
Mm.
people, lots of people say it's so hard to like become on top. Why would I do that? Like all this stuff. But it's basically just like, let's say a 10-year span, and it's just interesting. Like it's all about the drive, how much you kind of really want it. Let's say like 100 people start doing something. After 2 years,
Mm.
there's a challenge that puts them down. They're in depth, they're everything. And 20 of those people quit. And it just goes on, goes on, goes on like that. And at the end, they're basically like just the two left who just didn't quit. Like that's
Yeah.
the they might not even have been like the best at or whatever the best is, you know what I mean? But
Mm.
the only thing that they did that just kept going because the love for just the true art was so there. And that's also like you said about like the intuition. I mean the actual like reason why they started basically doing that. And I also like for me personally, like I've become really like isolated at some point. Like you said, oh, you're like that you're kind of like a like hustling so much and like had the feeling of having to do it because
Mhm.
you like also with social media like all over the place that you just have to do it and keep on going and everything. But at some point, like I felt like I couldn't really connect to anybody anymore in real life. Also with
Yeah,
like living in Germany, like the whole like it's different, obviously, you know, like
I
it's
can
like
imagine.
the culture is just like really different. And if you don't go out, like I also don't drink or anything, not against anybody who does, but it's just so hard for me to fit in anywhere,
Yeah.
like with the like mindset that I had, I felt like.
Mhm.
And so it sounds maybe a little crazy, but like my friends basically became people I didn't know, you know, but
Mhm.
people I looked up to. Like, for example, like I don't know, like Henrik, like JID, whatever. I obviously I knew I don't know them, but I know the version of them that they created to, and well, like okay, I want to put this out in the world, like the knowledge, and
Mhm.
also with like podcasts and everything. So people I
Mhm.
didn't know kind of became my friends, and the reason for me to like in dark time to like look up to and keep going. And I think
Mhm.
that's also just something, yeah, like the universal language of art. You know,
Mhm.
like you can tell if somebody's really into it because of the art, or if they're in it for the hype through that. I feel like.